What is going on, Diablo 2 fans? Dobrunsky here. In today's build video, I'm going to be breaking down a super budget Fishymancer. So for those that aren't really familiar with what a Fishymancer is, I'm going to cover that in today's video. I'm going to briefly go over the attributes, skill tree, and then we'll wrap everything up with some gear in gameplay. Again, like all my previous build videos, timestamps will be in the description below, so you can navigate between certain segments of the video, so please take advantage of them. But I do want to let you guys know that I do plan on making more budget-oriented builds because I had a ton of feedback in the comment section of my videos. A lot of new players that are struggling to get through the game, they want very budget-oriented setups. So that's what this video is about. Not using anything higher than an Istrune to make a very competent Necromancer that you guys can use to slowly progress through the game. So I do hope you guys enjoy this video. Again, a quick reminder before we jump in, just want to let you guys know that I do stream twice a week on Twitch, and I got the link for my Twitch channel in the description below. So if you enjoy this YouTube content, any follows on that platform would be very much appreciated. That being said, guys, let's jump in. Alright, so what the heck is a Fishymancer? Well, it is basically a Necromancer that uses three primary skills: Summon, Skeleton, Corpse Explosion, and Amplified Damage. It originated from a Diablo 2 single-player 4 member named Nightfish. So Fishymancer, Nightfish, he kind of basically pioneered the build. It's actually a very effective one. I mean, really, amp damage in combination with the correct Might Aura Mercenary, and then Corpse Explosion with a decent amount of skeletons, you can actually slowly push through the game with very budget gear. You literally don't do anything. You could probably play this with a naked Necromancer, although with that being said, the clear speed would be pitifully slow. It's moderate at best with this build setup that I'm going to cover. It's really just sort of an entry hell level build, but I do want to throw out a question for you guys, and again, give me some feedback. Would you guys like to see some more playthrough oriented builds? Because I do want to stress that I would not recommend speccing to this build until maybe mid-Nightmare. The optimal setup moving through normal and into Nightmare is using a Bone Necro with Teeth and Bone Spear, and then putting 1 point into Clay Golem, and then 1 point into Iron Maiden. So that's going to help reflect damage against really hard bosses like Duriel. Because if you go Summon in normal, you're going to kind of make it through the game until you get to Diablo. He's going to send out a Fire Nova, and all of your summoned skeletons are going to die. So if you want to save that painful experience, I recommend going Bone first. But again, please let me know in the comments section below if you guys would like to see some more playthrough-oriented setups. With that being said, let's take a look at the attributes. So I wanted to spec a level 80 character to, again, simulate an entry hell level build. I feel like going anything higher than that, it's not really kind of a budget character anymore. Now, a few kind of key points that I want to talk about this character first is that yes, it has a horrible res split. Yes, it doesn't have a very good life pool, but that's okay because of the playstyle. You're really just hanging back, letting your mercenary and summons absorb damage and do damage, and you're just using your very powerful skill, Corpse Explosion, to damage and kill monsters. So you can afford to kind of sacrifice things like res, FCR, when you're an entry kind of hell level budget setup. You can avoid really just taking damage, because I would not recommend moving into hell difficulty with a sorceress that has this poor of a res split, at least for a beginner player. But for the attributes, I have nothing into strength, or excuse me, nothing into dexterity, enough strength to equip my gear, which is 80. You definitely need some strength, sorry for that. I have nothing into energy, and then everything else in vitality. So at level 80, I have 835 life and 311 mana. Now again, I believe the faster cast rate is 85, which is actually kind of a little bit higher than what I was expecting with the gear. I mean, I have some on my rings, amulet, and the one, but I have nothing on the shield. But again, that 75 FCR breakpoint is more than enough. You don't need to try and shoot for like 125 FCR setup. Again, a little bit of Magic Find, 36, but trying to focus on that budget-oriented setup, just kind of basic overall stats. But that is the attributes in its entirety. So taking a look at the skill tree, I do want to stress a few things, and one is that on a lot of high-end variants of this build, you'll typically see characters or guides investing 1 hard point because they have so many plus skills with their gear that they don't need to invest more than like 1 into amp damage or 1 into Corpse Explosion. That is not the case when you don't have a ton of plus skills. So for the Poison and Bone skill tree, I have 1 hard point into Teeth, and then I put enough hard points combined with my plus skill gear to get at least a level 10 Corpse Explosion. More points into Corpse Explosion does not boost the damage, but it does boost the radius. So I feel like 10 is kind of like the bare minimum level I would try and shoot for. Again, people might go 20 combined points total, but for this setup, I just went with 10. For the curse skill tree, I have enough hard and soft points to reach level 15 on amplified damage. It does show 1 point into terror. That's just because of the weapon that I'm using, so you can ignore that. But amp damage is the clear-cut winner here for boosting your damage. Some high-end variants of this build will put 1 hard point into crep for bosses, but I would just focus on amplified damage because you're putting a whole bunch of extra points to unlock decrep. And for typical PvM gameplay, you're not really using it. It's almost always just used on like Diablo or Bale just to slow them down a little bit. But for the summoning skill tree, I put 20 hard points into Raised Skeleton. This is one of your main kind of like summons in Meat Shield. 20 hard points into Skeleton Mastery. And then I put 1 hard point into Skeleton Mage, Blood Golem, and Iron Golem. That's just to unlock Revive. Now I did put a handful of points into Revive. I typically only recommend using these for bosses. They just don't have really good AI, so you need to reposition with a teleport staff. But they are good for targeting bosses. So if you just want to grab a couple right before boss and then telestomp on top of it, it is a great way to do some solid damage. But I put enough hard points into Golem Mastery and Clay Golem to have 8 and 10 here, and then 1 hard point into Summon Resist. Now, I like using, on budget setups, Clay Golem and using an Insight Mercenary, just because if you're turning an Insight into an Iron Golem, if you don't have CTA and a lot of like life buff, it'll typically die a lot. So that's why I like going the route of Clay Golem and an Insight Mercenary. So moving on to the gear, again, this is an ultra budget setup, but for the weapon, I have Arm of King Heroic, so a lot of plus summoning skills, lore, FCR Amulet, FCR Ring, and another FCR Ring, random magic belt, stealth for the body armor, and then rhyme for the shield. I was debating going like a perfect diamond homunculus and Viper Magi, but again, I wanted to make a super budget setup because I've had a lot of criticisms for not catering to new players, so this is super easy to achieve items, guys. You can farm these runes in Nightmare Countess or Normal Countess. Very budget stuff. For the gloves, Trang's gloves for the +2 to curses, random magic boots, and on the offhand, I have a teleport staff to help reposition the summons. Just a garbage 9 to life amulet, 9 to life large charm. And then for the mercenary, this is just a insight poleaxe with treachery and Talus Mask. So it gives him a little bit of life leech, faster attack speed, and then that fade proc will help boost his survivability. And then insight's really good for that meditation aura. It just helps with the overall kind of like mana recovery and just usability of the character. I don't need to constantly slam pots to make sure that I can actually like summon all my skills. So I really do like using an Insight Mercenary. But that's his gear in its entirety, guys. So I'm just going to quickly start off in the Blood Moor and kind of push and show you guys how it takes a little bit to get going to get your summons, but once you get your curses and your corpse explosion going, that you can actually do some decent damage as you continue to progress through hell. So the idea here, guys, I'm just going to start in the Blood Moor, kind of slowly make my way through Act 1, at least some of it to demonstrate some gameplay. But the key here is the curse amp damage. So I cast it, Mercenary gets a few kills, we'll get some summoned skeletons going, and then we'll get a Clay Golem. So the quicker that we can get our army built up, the quicker we can start using Corpse Explosion. I believe 10 is the highest that I can get to. Okay, so now we have our full army. If you want to, you can occasionally teleport to reposition them. But this is where we'll start using amplified damage. And the second we get kills, we start using Corpse Explosion. So you're going to kind of notice an uptick in the pace of how quickly we can kill stuff. So again, we're just hanging back, wait till the mercenaries get some kills, the summons, and then we just Corpse Explode. That is literally all that there is with this build, being budget and running. Now I do want to touch on, I mentioned this earlier, the reason I don't like using revives is they just don't stick with you. So let me just grab a couple and just watch. They will eventually stop running and we'll lose them. They won't teleport to us. Just not a big fan of using revives on budget setups. But again, amp and Corpse Explode. Really good build. I mean, I think we lost the revives already. Oh, there's a couple of them. But you can see how like this is such a budget character. We're just hanging back, casting my curses. My summons are doing their thing, and then I make sure I corpse explode the second I start to see dead monsters. So here, this guy right here would be an example of where it's good to teleport on the offhand. Just using that ability to teleport and then just reposition everything. Now again, this is only like, we're in the cool plains now. Slowly doing our thing. Definitely not a budget Hammerden or Blizzard Sorceress, but you can see once you can chain together a couple corpse explosions. There again, we teleport. It's that ability to use that magic staff on the offhand to teleport and reposition your mercenary, and all of your summon armies really does help build a lot. That's why Enigma is so valuable to this setup. But I think you guys get the point. So all there really is to that, just amp damage, corpse explosion, and kill. Now I do want to cover one quick little tip that when you do eventually get to Hell difficulty, a great place, when you do eventually get to Act 5, a great place to pull some summons is Neelithak. So you take his red portal here, all these dead guys on the ground. Oh. Don't corpse explode them, you want to summon them. So there is 10. That's 10 skeletons. Now I'll do a quick little teleport reposition here for Eldritch and Shank. And remember, this is Act 5, so definitely a little bit harder for difficulty than Act 1, but you can still see with a very, very budget, garbage character, I just cleared, Eldritch. So this is a great character to invest into once you start to get to Nightmare difficulty. But that basically wraps up the video in its entirety, guys. I know there's a lot of rambling and talking, but hopefully you guys found this video useful and it maybe helps you in your playstyle and you can rock some Fishymancer in the future. But as always, if you guys could throw a like on this video, share it, and even consider subscribing if you're new to my channel. I post new weekly content on YouTube, and I do stream twice a week on Twitch. Any follows on Twitch or subs on YouTube would be amazing. Other than that, guys, hope you have a fan-frickin-tastic day, and I'll catch you on my next video or live stream. Peace out.